Greetings, everyone, and welcome. I'm going to allow some time for some people to join us. I trust that everyone is having a beautiful day. Awesome. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Knowledge Quest's virtual nutrition workshop series. I am your host, Arava Asim, live from Harlem, New York. We are doing things a little bit differently this week, but I assure you we're going to still have a specific conversation and a demonstration in regards to health, wellness, and healing. Welcome. Please join in and be sure to share with your family, friends, and distant relatives if you're already on here. And again, we're going to have to accept the noise in the background. I am in Harlem, New York, so I'm doing things a little bit differently this week, but I'm trusting that we will have a great sharing today. Awesome. So, as you all know, every week we have a specific conversation and a demonstration in regards to health, wellness, and nutrition. And this week specifically, I want to talk about different tips and benefits of breaking the fast, as well as show you all how to prepare a homemade cereal. So the conversation is going to be really great today. I think it's really important for us to be very conscious and very aware of how we kind of tap into the day with what we decide to eat. And so I'm going to, again, discuss specific tips and benefits around breaking the fast. Welcome you all. Thank you all for joining. How's everybody doing today? Please let me know how everything is flowing. How's y'all's day so far? And let me know if the lighting is good, if you can see my station area okay, and also if I am projecting my voice loud enough as well. We'll definitely have some noise in the background, but it's all love. We can dig it. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So again, the conversation today is in regards to tips and benefits around breaking the fast. And from there, we're going to go into a demonstration. I'm going to show you all how to make a homemade commute cereal, which is one of my all-time favorites. Sweet. So as we know, the conversation last week was about going back to school and the specifics around how to prepare specific meals and snacks according to the best nutrition in regards to that, but also the best things that'll be for the youth as well as the family overall. And so this week I really wanted to dive more into the conversation around benefits for breaking the fast, also known as breakfast. And so as we all know, it's the most important meal of the day. That is something we've been taught since day one. And so I feel that there's a lot of intentionality that needs to go around breaking the fast. And so what you choose to consume first thing in the morning, once you start your day, pretty much determines the rest of your day. So I'll be able to explain that in a little more detail. But again, intentionality should be key with everything that we put in our mouth. But I specifically say as soon as you wake up in the morning or as soon as you decide to consume something, whether it's something to drink or something to eat, it should always have just a specific intention around it, okay? And so as we know, it's the most important meal of the day, and you may be asking like, we know that already. Why do we say that specifically? And I think it's one because when we break the fast, meaning that you're fasting while you're asleep. So when you decide to eat or drink something first thing in the morning or the top of the day, that pretty much is you waking up your digestive system. So what you decide to consume is going to be really imperative. And so I always say, when I think of the most important meal of the day, I just think that it should always have a lot of energy or a lot of hydration included. And so since we know, if we wake up at 6 a.m. and we have our first meal at 8 a.m., it's just imperative that you consume something that's going to carry you through the morning, the afternoon, as well as the evening, right? And so what we don't realize is that we create a habit. So the first thing that we consume, whether it's, let's say, cereal, for an example, right? So I remember growing up and I remember eating a lot of fruity cereals, such as Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops, Captain Crunch. I think they're called Crunch Berries. Like, I remember consuming very sugary foods first thing in the morning, not knowing any better, right? We do what we are taught, we do what's given to us, right? But now that I know, looking back, I wonder if my energy would have been different in school. Would I have not have crashed around 10 or 11, kind of got sleepy around that time? Some of us get the 2 o'clock blues based off of what we're consuming that first thing in the morning. So it's just going to be imperative to make sure that you're consuming for energy and consuming for hydration as soon as you rise, or as soon as you decide to consume something for the day. So that brings me to my second point is when you think about what you wanted to consume when breaking the fast, think hydration. And 2 things come to mind: water, of course, and so that can look like spring water, purified water, distilled water, whatever your choice may be. Adding fruit to that, so lemons, limes, I always really harp on that. I think it's super important because it, one, alkalizes our water, and it also, again, meaning alkalinity as far as the potential hydration, so it's pretty much up in that for us. And then overall, just consuming fruit first thing in the morning is also really going to be great, because one, fruit is naturally hydrating, meaning it has a lot of water dense content inside of it, and then also it has fiber added to it. So when I think of me craving Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops, all those fruity cereals first thing in the morning, now I find myself just eating fruit when I'm craving those types of cereals. But also, like, when I think back on it, I think it was a matter of my body really wanting fruit, because I really didn't enjoy any other types of cereals. And so just consuming things that, again, are more hydrating and more nutrient dense, especially in regards to fiber, which is going to sustain your appetite, as well as pretty much sustain you throughout the day and throughout the morning. Welcome, you all. Thank you for joining. And so the next point I want to make, I don't want to talk too much about all the things I want you to avoid first thing in the morning, but of course it's important, right? So I'm going to go into the things that I believe that you should avoid consuming first thing in the morning, and then also come back with the things that will be best for you. So of course I mentioned hydration, water content, drinking water overall, but also consuming more fruits. And then the things that you should avoid are things that are deep fried, that are fat, rich in fat, or even sugary filled and dairy laden types of foods. And when I think of sugary filled and dairy laden, I specifically think about cereal, because the cereal is very sugary and doesn't have any type of nutritional value in it. And then of course, if you're drinking that with milk, like myself growing up, which was like, we were raised on vitamin D and skim milk, which are both dairy products, but also causes some mucus in the body, and also causes, for myself, I made the connection between my skin ailment, which was also known as eczema, and what I was consuming. And so those types of cereals, foods first thing in the morning is not going to be the best thing. And again, overly processed foods. So I loved me some Pop-Tarts. Unfortunately, it was one of my go-to staples first thing in the morning. Really quick, really easy. But again, no nutritional value in that, no energy density in those types of foods. It's not hydrating. If anything, it's dehydrating. It's the opposite of that. And so being mindful of cutting out those foods as much as possible. Other types of food would be like wheat gluten foods, so foods that have a lot of wheat or a lot of gluten included, and empty calories overall. So when I talk a lot about processed foods, packaged foods, it's just simply empty calories, which is calories is supposed to be energy. And so if you're consuming foods like that doesn't really have any nutritional value in it, then you're just eating for taste alone. And I say that we don't really have time to be only eating for taste alone, based on our health and our well-being, and also wanting to sustain our appetite and want us to sustain our energy throughout the day. And so I'll always think of whatever I consume pretty much will assist me through my productivity throughout the day. So it's really important. Thank you, Trina. It's really important for you to be, again, intentional about what you consume first thing in the morning. So now, the things that we want to avoid, I don't want to harp on that too much, but you already know those specific foods that we should not be eating first thing in the morning. So I'm going to transition into the things that you should be consuming. So I want to share that you should choose wisely when you're making these choices. Like, the choice is yours. You have the power every single day to choose accordingly to how you want to feel, how you want to be, and how you want to show up to your day. And so don't ever feel like just because you was raised a certain way, just because your palate or your lifestyle is a certain way, whether it's like you're always on the go, or you don't have time and things like that, just always know that you can choose a different route. So if you decide that you no longer want to consume those foods specifically that I mentioned of avoiding, and just kind of energy draining foods, then know that you can do that. So you can start your day with more water. You can start your day with eating fruit instead. You can start your day with a bowl of oatmeal if you so choose to do that. So just know that the power lies in your hands at all times. All right, so the next point that I want to make in regards to choosing wisely is, again, what you decide to consume first thing that morning. That's why the choice is so important, is that it pretty much creates this, I would say, foundation or blueprint for the rest of your day. And you may be asking, all right, but what does that really mean? So some mornings when I do start the day off, say that I have a pastry or some type of muffin, right? Which is still energy, I would say, draining, because it is heavy in wheat and gluten, and sometimes, most times, sugar, depending on what type of muffin it is. That's really going to set the foundation sometimes to my day. And I say that by the fact that if I start with carbs first thing in the morning, it's a good chance that I'm be eating carbs for the rest of the day. Now, it goes back to choosing wisely and knowing that we have a choice. But what I also have noticed is that when I start my day with certain things, or if I get in the habit of eating something like sugar first thing in the morning or just all day, it pretty much is a trickling effect into the rest of my meals. And it's kind of haphazardly. It's like I'm not even trying to do this, but it's like I'm craving these things based off of what I've started the day with. So again, just be mindful that whatever you consume first thing, top of the morning, will definitely set the foundation for your day. So that's why it's really always important to start your morning with as much water as you can, because you're going to pretty much start with a clean slate, and you're going to start hydrated, which we all know hydration is the next thing to fullness and feeling satisfied when it comes to hunger. Sometimes we're hungry, we think we're hungry first thing in the morning, but we're really dehydrated, because if you've slept the night before for say 6 to 8 hours, and if you're like me, sometimes sleeping through the night and you don't wake up not one time, then naturally you're going to be dehydrated as soon as you wake up in the morning. So it's going to be really important for you to be mindful and to have a drink of water, or have 8 to 12 ounces of water first thing upon waking up, okay? And this is even before you've brushed your teeth, if you're really determined to create those habits, essentially. All right, and so what foods do we want to choose? And so I'm going to name a few types of, just a category of foods that you can focus in on that will help you to make better decisions when breaking the fast in the morning. So think fresh, think whole, water rich, as I mentioned, green, colorful, dense in the hues of the rainbow. Think quality foods, things that are going to, again, sustain your appetites. And those are going to be the best options for you throughout the morning to essentially kickstart your morning and your digestive system in full gear. All right, so you may be wondering, what are some examples of specific breakfast foods? And so I want to give you a rundown of kind of how I would start my morning in a very, I would say, intentional and thoughtful way. So the moment I wake up, say it's 6 a.m., start my morning, the first thing that I'm going to consume is water. That's going to look like likely a gallon that I've been working on from the previous day, or I'm going to just pour me 8 to 12 ounces worth and just drink that straight. So again, what that's going to do is going to pretty much wake up, of sorts, your digestive system. And so throughout the rest of the morning, I want to continue to drink water. So I'm not one to just I would say, gallons of water in a certain time frame. I try to do 24 hours. That's been something I've been on lately. But just starting off with that water is going to be super essential for the top of your morning, because again, you wake up dehydrated naturally, so you want to make sure that you are rehydrating yourself and also waking up your brain, because as we know, or as we should know, our bodies are made up of anywhere from 70 to 80% water. So therefore we need to be consuming that amount every single day. So the top of the morning would look like water. The next thing that I would consume, if I have it on hand, would be something like a smoothie or some type of naturally pressed juice. Something, again, still liquid based, so that I can get in that either fiber or the hydration still, and also the minerals and different vitamins that are in that juice. The next thing could be something solid. So it could look like something like leftover greens if I had greens the night before. It can look like oatmeal is also a great one. You can do fresh fruit again, having that on the side. So when I think of comparing those, putting those two together, it kind of gets a little iffy, and I don't want to get into the details of that, but I've also shared about in the past food combining and how certain foods don't go with other foods. But just know that you could wait 30 minutes after eating the oatmeal to consume your fruit, or vice versa, and that will be a healthy balance to make sure your digestive system is able to kind of process and break that down properly. Okay. So some other types of meals, again, can look like whole grain cereal. So we're going to have Commute here, Commute cereal, and I'll show you all the details of this. And this is what it looks like. It comes in puffs, and we're going to make us our own type of Smack Jacks, which is a Kellogg's brand, but this is going to be so much better. You could also do something like the whole grain cereal or the whole oatmeal, and you can couple that with fruit, with maybe an almond or nut milk. You can do coconut flakes, really jazz it up, maybe some chia seeds, some hemp seeds. Really add the different types of superfoods as well as protein and fiber to that dish. That would be amazing. And again, the benefits that come from creating a solid foundation to your morning when it comes to what you consume is going to give you clarity of mind. And I've talked about this before, but many of us, including myself, I can deal with brain fogginess, or just like where by sometimes noon or even 2 o'clock, I'm just like mentally I can't take anymore. And now that everything is virtual, I think it's super important for us to be mindful of how much we're drinking, but also how much or what type of foods we're consuming throughout the day. Because if you want to stay focused, if you want to stay diligent on your to-do list and the things that you have to do for the day, you have to understand that food is energy. So everything you put in your body is going to either work for you or it's going to work against you. And so we all know too well what the itis feels like when we consume large portions of food, and then immediately, maybe even 5 minutes later, our body starts to shut down. What happens is the digestive system is like, okay, I have work to do, and I can't continue to have you operating, whether it's looking at a computer, still doing work, doing meetings, and still simultaneously break this food down. So it's going to have you going to what we know as itis, as sleep mode. You're going to get immediately tired. So if you are more intentional and you choose wisely on the type of foods that you consume every day, you can change the trajectory of your entire day. And I like to think of food as, again, just essential. It's energy. It's whatever you put in, it's going to give it back out to you. So just be mindful that brain foods are essential, staying hydrated is essential. Eating detox foods on a regular is essential. That's green leafy foods as well as berries, foods that are high in antioxidants. And so just consuming these foods on a regular and making sure that every time you sit down to eat or every time you snack on something, that it's wholesome, will always benefit you in the end, okay? Some other benefits besides clarity and peace of mind is strength and, again, energy, focus. And I also share that if you have a healthy gut, you have a healthy mind. So therefore you have a healthy to-do list and a healthy productive to-do list, I would say. And so just thinking more high vibrational when you're consuming these types of foods and when you're thinking of what to break the fast with. Thank you all for joining, and